While exploring Athens and picking up from the extensive research, the blaring gaps of discontent between the people and the government were prominent. With pressure from the journalists for a better government, the politicians seem to have tipped the tables, cutting down voices of the reporters, creating an environment favoring freedom of speech. What the city now potentially lacks is a space to bring everyone together, the politicians, journalists, and locals, to have civilized discussions, talks, debates, and learning experiences. The proposal intends to give everyone a voice by providing for each user. The site sits on the southern slope of the Acropolis. Housing the Theatre of Dionysus, it becomes an ideal location to host discussions between the intended users. Free and open to tourists, it also sets out to intrigue them on the current affairs in the city. The contours allow for a sunken landscape structure remaining unobstructed to the Acropolis from the bottom, staying majorly hidden from afar. The positioning allows views of the amphitheatre from all its bases and serves views to both the Parthenon and the city beneath. The current entrance from the bottom would be realigned to house a new entrance structure, tracing the plinth of the ruins, hiding the amphitheatre and providing a larger-than-life element of surprise behind. Alternate, quicker approaches for journalists and politicians are provided at the east end. Running parallel, this connects a narrow stairway to the Stoa and adjoining ruins. The entire southern landscape up to the Acropolis entrance is now open to all. The slope falls from a fortress wall at 56 meters to 8 meters at the stage and 4 meters at the Sanctuary of Dionysus. The proposal is split into 3 purposeful zones, one being primarily for journalists working individually or as a group to report news either via YouTube, small budget magazines, regional newspapers, Instagram, or Twitter. The intended space for citizen journalism would provide a larger broadcasting center or newsroom, studio spaces for recording, meeting rooms for group discussions, collaborative workstations, a smaller amphitheater seating about 100 people, and a cafe for its users. This space would be accessible by journalists and invited guests, including politicians. This would allow people to get involved and have a say in the political processes via media. Second is a space for all the locals, adults, politics and journalism students, and school students. It sits under the space for journalists, accessible through a common entrance. This space would house lecture halls, breakout rooms, smaller classrooms, a cafeteria, and reading spaces, ideally providing a space for conceptual Saturday schools to learn and discuss politics and current issues. The space for adults would also provide courses, much like CPDs, on politics. Third, and the most prominent use, is a space providing for debates and discussions for a larger audience. The existing amphitheater, though unused and in ruins, can seat about 1,000 people, big enough to house international and global events. For such, the site would host rooms and amenities for high-profile guests. The site remains accessible and connected via elevated and sunken walkways, looping throughout the proposal. The user can breathe in the site and the views from the decks, walkways, landscape development, and amphitheater itself. The entrance structure consciously sits atop ruins that house the former green rooms. Only the plinth of this remains on site, with pieces of marble positioned as they may have been. Intended to be built and finished with wood, the structure floats over the plinth. A part of the space for journalism is open to all to report news. This, once being verified and aligned to the guidelines by journalists, can be projected on the southern wall of the Acropolis, thereby projecting news to the city beneath and allowing everyone to have a voice.